Good afternoon. I hope everybody can hear me. Welcome to this webinar, to this conference. Hello, my name is Yorgos Chatzimarkakis. I am the moderator of this conference of the IPHE, the International Partnership for Hydrogen and Fuel Cells in the Economy. We are today in a global meeting discussing hydrogen at a global scale, and I'm extremely happy that we have distinguished speakers in our speaking list. I won't tell you all the names right now because that would cost us too much time. I will come to the speakers when it's their turn. However, it's an honor and a pleasure also for me. I'm the General Secretary of Hydrogen Europe to moderate this conference. The IPHE is a global network on hydrogen. It has been initiated under the George Bush administration in 2003. And at the moment, we have 19 members. I'm not sure whether at the end of the day there won't be 20, because I have heard that Morocco and the Moroccan minister is one of our speakers today, has shown a huge interest to participate, and there are good reasons for that. However, we would start today's conference with basically the country that initiated this global network that makes great progress at the moment. And I am pleased to give the floor to our first speaker, Daniel Simmons, who is from the ministry, from the Department of Energy. He is the Assistant Secretary. He is an expert in US climate policy. And I would like to give you the floor, Daniel, to be the first speaker, because the presidency at the moment lies with the US. So you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to Hydrogen Europe's Secretary General Yorgos Chatzimarkakis for the kind introduction. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to participate in this first virtual global hydrogen forum. It made me very happy a few minutes ago as people started to check in the chat and to say where they were coming from around the world. This is truly a global forum. It is great to see the excitement around hydrogen right now, and it is great to be here today and to talk with all of you. One of the bonuses, one of the good things I think about having some of these events virtually is that it allows us to increase the people that can, the number of people that can participate, that could see the event. So while it's great to see you in person, it is great to be here virtually, I think. So since its inception in 2003, IPHE has continued to take concrete steps to address challenges in the hydrogen industry. And it makes me proud that the Department of Energy, the US Department of Energy, was a key contributor to its formation. Before we get started, I know we are living in unprecedented times with COVID-19, and the past few months have seen significant impacts on our lives and the way that we operate. And I would like to thank all of you, and especially everyone in IPHE, for your continued efforts and leadership despite the challenges we are all facing. And I hope that you and your loved ones are staying safe, united, and healthy during these trying times for the world. I am honored to represent the United States here today as the current chair of IPHE, which includes the European Commission as well as 19 countries, as the Secretary General mentioned. And possibly 20. That is also exciting. The spirit of collaboration has been a focus of mine, and I appreciate all of your efforts and leadership. I would also like to acknowledge the other global partners involved, including the International Energy Agency, Mission Innovation, Clean Energy Ministerial, Hydrogen Energy Ministerial, among others. The growing number of organizations in this field is certainly a reflection of the increasing global interest in hydrogen. Let me start with the United States' comprehensive energy portfolio. As you know, well, as of last year, things have changed a little bit. The United States was the world's largest producer of oil and natural gas, exporting liquid natural gas to over 35 countries. And we currently produce about 10 million tons of hydrogen a year, almost exclusively from natural gas. But as we all know, natural gas isn't the only option for hydrogen production, not even close. We're also making important progress around adding renewable energy to the grid. And with low-cost renewables, this obviously opens up an opportunity and a potential for hydrogen, for new hydrogen generation that is completely renewable. There's a lot of work to be done. I don't want to minimize that. In fact, I probably want to stress that the amount of work that needs to be done to help drive down these costs. But to fully recognize hydrogen's benefits across the economy, we need to see significant increase, we believe, in terms of hydrogen, obviously hydrogen supply and demand. And collectively, we have made tremendous progress on fuel cells, electrolyzers, and fundamental materials. But hydrogen infrastructure, the cost, the durability, and widespread distribution remains a critical barrier. These challenges form the core of our three-pronged strategy. First, in increasing hydrogen demand by developing new uses for it, such as with steel production, backup power at large-scale data centers, blending hydrogen into natural gas pipelines. This is really a part of our H2 at scale initiative. Number two, we want to prove out the technology for hydrogen to meet the demands of heavy-duty trucking. Global industry has signaled that this is a promising opportunity to diversify hydrogen supply by lowering the and number three, I should say, is to diversify the hydrogen supply by lowering the cost of hydrogen production from electrolysis. To accomplish our strategy, we're already taking concrete steps. In the past year, we announced 4 new demonstration projects in the United States featuring electrolyzers using solar, wind, and nuclear energy. These facilities will allow clusters of applications where we co-locate hydrogen production, storage, and utilization. This past January, we announced up to $64 million for new funding for our H2 at Scale initiative to encourage market expansion and increase the scale of hydrogen production, storage, and transport. Finally, in the spirit of progress and keeping the momentum going, I am pleased to inform you that next week we are going to, the U.S. Department of Energy is going to announce plans to invest over $100 million over 5 years in 2 new national lab-based consortia. The first consortium will conduct research and development to achieve large-scale, affordable electrolyzers. Based on stakeholder input from the global industry, this effort can really move the needle by enabling more durable, efficient, and low-cost electrolyzers. And second, the second consortium will strive to enable fuel cells for heavy-duty truck applications. We will set a 5-year goal to prove our ability to have a fully competitive heavy-duty fuel cell truck that can meet the demands of the durability, cost, and performance requirements of the trucking industry. We anticipate working closely with the industry on these ambitious new initiatives. So be on the lookout next week. And I know that many of you have specific major plans for hydrogen in your country's recovery packages. I'm looking at you, Germany. That obviously Germany is an example of being very aggressive on hydrogen. So I look forward to seeing more of those more of what those plans exactly are in the coming days and weeks. So these investments will make all of us closer to our goal of having low cost, affordable, reliable hydrogen for all. So thank you all, and I look forward to continue the dialogue and collaboration. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Daniel. That was very encouraging. It shows that the US still has a leading role to play, and very happy to hear so many things about your investments into hydrogen. However, there are also other geographies who are very much into it. And the next speaker will be Kadri Simson. Kadri is the EU Commissioner for Energy. So she's the highest, if you wish, energy representative in the European Union, as she's also coordinating energy policies of all member states. Kadri has a big role to play because in some weeks, 8th of July, the European Union will launch their hydrogen strategy. Today, so some hours ago, there was already a leak of this hydrogen strategy in some European newspapers. hydrogen all over, we have to say, so it's very encouraging also for us. However, let's listen to Kadri and what's her take on the global upscale of hydrogen out of European perspective.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you today. Let me start by saying that never before in Europe have we seen such a level of interest about hydrogen as we have today. The reason is twofold. We need hydrogen to achieve climate neutrality, and we should use this opportunity to invest in the clean energy technologies, to restart the economy and promote innovation after the devastating economic effect of the COVID crisis. Our new Commission took office last December, and since the beginning we have set our sights on a very clear goal, a climate-neutral Europe within 30 years. This is the cornerstone of our Green Deal strategy. The first half of this year has definitely not gone to plan, as we found ourselves combating the biggest health crisis in living memory. Still, we are turning adversity into opportunity. We have published a recovery plan for Europe, the next generation EU, putting the green transformation at its heart. In this way, the Green Deal and the Clean Energy Transition act as a new growth strategy. One that creates new investments and jobs for our people. One example is wind energy. Over the last decade, the cost of electricity generated by offshore wind fell by almost 30%, and it is becoming more and more competitive compared to fossil fuel sources. Our power sector is decarbonizing rapidly, and by 2030, almost 76% will come from low-carbon sources. This is renewables and nuclear. By 2050, our electricity supply is expected to be fully decarbonized, with over 80% coming from renewables. But electricity alone cannot get us there. We know that we will also need other carriers, and we also know that to keep energy costs in check, we must harness all the synergies and exploit the complementarities between the electricity sector, our waste gas infrastructure, our industry, and the transport sector. Hydrogen is a vital missing piece of the puzzle to help us reach this deeper decarbonization and to reach it at a lower cost to people. We have recognized this opportunity and are working on two key strategies to be launched on the 8th of July, a strategy for energy system integration and a dedicated strategy on hydrogen. They will set out how we intend to accelerate the transition to the energy system of the future, a system in which hydrogen will play a key role. Today, we use hydrogen mostly in chemical processes. Tomorrow, hydrogen can decarbonize these industrial processes. It can be a new fuel for heavy-duty transport and clean jet fuel for aviation, or replace coal in steel making. To make this happen, we need to focus our work on 4 areas. First, we need to activate a virtuous circle of increased supply and demand for hydrogen, boosting demand in end uses like industrial applications and transport, and investing in developing electrolyzers with greater capacity. Part of this is bringing down the cost of clean hydrogen to make it competitive. For this, we need more and cheaper renewable energy and an efficient electricity market. We have laid the ground for this through the Clean Energy for All Europeans market, and this market design legislation is currently under implementation. But we will go even further to create an ecosystem approach to hydrogen production. To do this, we are creating a Clean Hydrogen Alliance to bring the full value chain of hydrogen together: investors, governmental, institutional, and industrial partners. This template of an industrial alliance has proven its worth before in Europe. We aim to involve all actors upstream and downstream to accelerate hydrogen deployment and achieve cost reductions and greater competitiveness. Second, We need a regulatory framework to shape an open and competitive market with unhindered cross-border trade and infrastructures to transport hydrogen where it is needed. This could mean a need to repurpose or reuse some of our existing natural gas infrastructure and helps us to avoid stranded assets. Third, we need to continue our research and innovation because developing a clean hydrogen economy poses a technological challenge. We need to vastly scale up electrolyzer technologies to support the ambition. But at this point, we still do not have the production capacity we need. Demonstration projects are starting at 20 megawatts in Europe, but we need gigawatt-scale electrolyzers. We also need research in fuel cells and storage. So in September, we will adopt a Green Deal goal of 950 million euros under Horizon 2020, which will also cover hydrogen. Of that, more than 1/3 will be dedicated to energy topics, including a call for a large-scale electrolyzer. It is our hope that these will help us to gather the right minds and unleash their research and innovation in all the relevant areas across the hydrogen value chain. And finally, we need international cooperation. The EU imports today just over 58% of the energy it needs. Tomorrow, we need to transform these imports of fossil fuels into clean energy partnerships. We want to work with our neighbors in the first place, but also with global partners. We need common understanding and possibly even the harmonization of codes and standards for trading hydrogen internationally. I have seen our focus on hydrogen mirrored across the globe. The number of the countries joining the International Hydrogen Council has more than quadrupled in the past 3 years. And Director General Matsuyama, I have seen that Japan has announced the next Olympic Games to be the Hydrogen Olympics. This is excellent. Working side by side with our international partners is also a fundamental part of the research and innovation I mentioned earlier. This is why we are taking part in all major initiatives related to hydrogen, such as co-leading the hydrogen initiative of the Clean Energy Ministerial supported by the IEA. We are also involved in designing activities on hydrogen under Mission Innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we see the way forward, a strong approach on both an EU and an international level. This is how we scale up, exchange ideas, and solidify the position of hydrogen in the energy sector. I look forward to hearing your own views on hydrogen's role in the energy system of tomorrow, and more about where we can work together further to shape the future. Thank you.
Many thanks to Kadri Simson, the Energy Commissioner in Europe. And you see that it's a quite ambitious plan that is planned in Europe. And this is, so to say, supported by member states. And one of the member states that is very, very important in that rollout is the next presidency. That's Germany. Germany has only last week announced their hydrogen strategy, and it entails 9 billion euro in a recovery plan that is invested into hydrogen, both in energy systems industry, but also in transport. And we are happy to have the transport minister on federal level of Germany, Andreas Scheuer, with us. Andreas Scheuer, as a minister, will speak in German, or should I say Bavarian? He's from Bavaria. But you will see subtitles so everybody can understand his message. I would pass the floor to Andreas Scheuer, Transport Minister of Germany.
Es ist erst wenige Tage her, dass die deutsche Bundesregierung ein gewaltiges Projekt beschlossen hat. Ehrgeizig, anspruchsvoll und zukunftsweisend. Ich rede von der nationalen Wasserstoffstrategie. Mein Haus und ich persönlich haben sehr dafür gekämpft. Endlich steht das Thema Wasserstoff da, auf der Agenda, wo es hingehört, ganz oben. Denn für uns steht fest, Deutschland kann und soll bei Wasserstofftechnologien eine globale Führungsrolle einnehmen. Der Weg dahin besteht aus vielen Einzelschritten. Unterstützung bekommen wir auch durch das deutsche Konjunkturpaket, das wir bereits am 3. Juni zur Bekämpfung der Corona-Folgen beschlossen haben und mit dem wir die Förderung der Wasserstoff- und Brennstoffzellentechnologie massiv ausweiten. Insgesamt sieht es für diesen Bereich Investitionen von 9 Milliarden Euro vor. 2 Milliarden davon werden für internationale Partnerschaften bereitgestellt. Einen deutlichen Schwerpunkt bildet dabei das Fördern der Anwendungen im Verkehr. Zum Beispiel, indem wir den Kauf von Wasserstofffahrzeugen unterstützen oder regionale Wasserstoffkonzepte fördern. Wir werden den Ausbau des Tankstellennetzes noch stärker fördern, den Einsatz in Flugzeugantrieben sowie Anlagen zur Produktion strombasierter Kraftstoffe. Darüber hinaus verstärken wir das nationale Innovationsprogramm Wasserstoff- und Brennstoffzellentechnologie, kurz NIP. Wir unterstützen den Aufbau einer wettbewerbsfähigen Zulieferindustrie, zum Beispiel mit einem Wasserstoff-Anwender- und Technologiezentrum. Zudem fördern wir den Aufbau einer eigenen Brennstoffzellenproduktion in Deutschland, wobei wir da ganz klar eine internationale Harmonisierung der Standards anstreben, zum Beispiel beim Betanken. Auch hier wird es wichtig sein, dass wir die internationalen Plattformen und Gremien nutzen, um Hürden für die flächendeckende Anwendung von Wasserstoff auch international abzubauen. Wir sollten die Aktivitäten verschiedener Sektoren und Ressorts eben nicht nur auf nationaler Ebene bündeln und abstimmen, sondern auch international. Deshalb begrüße ich sehr, dass wir mit diesem Forum als globales Forum über eine hervorragende Organisation verfügen, die genau diesem Ziel dient. Und ich möchte betonen, dass sich mein Haus aus fester Überzeugung seit der Gründung gemeinsam mit der NOW intensiv in dieses Forum einbringt. Meine Damen und Herren, die Bundesregierung ist davon überzeugt, dass Wasserstoff ein Grundpfeiler des Energiesystems der Zukunft sein wird. Dabei sind wir uns einig, dass nur Wasserstoff, der auf Basis erneuerbarer Energien hergestellt wurde, also grüner Wasserstoff, auf Dauer nachhaltig ist. Als Verkehrsminister sage ich ganz deutlich, wir brauchen ihn, um unsere Klimaziele im Verkehr zu erreichen. Mein Haus hat schon vor mehr als 10 Jahren mit der Förderung der Wasserstofftechnologien begonnen und entwickelt sie jetzt weiter. 2006 haben wir die Nationale Organisation Wasserstoff- und Brennstoffzellentechnologie NOW gegründet. Eine Gesellschaft, die Ihnen allen bekannt ist und die heute weltweit Anerkennung genießt. 2009 haben wir gemeinsam mit der Industrie die Initiative H2 Mobility gestartet. Die Basis dafür, dass wir heute in Deutschland das am weitesten entwickelte Wasserstofftankstellennetzwerk haben. All das haben wir aus der Überzeugung heraus getan, dass Wasserstoff ein wichtiger Baustein für nachhaltige, klimafreundliche Mobilität ist. Vor allem bei schweren Fahrzeugen, bei denen der batterieelektrische Antrieb nicht für alle Einsatzbereiche geeignet ist, hat Wasserstoff großes Potenzial. Also zum Beispiel bei Bussen und Zügen, bei Lkw oder bei Nutzfahrzeugen auf dem Bau oder in der Landwirtschaft. Aber auch im Pkw-Bereich ist Wasserstoff ergänzend zu Batterieautos sinnvoll, zum Beispiel, wenn es um lange Strecken und große Fahrzeuge geht. Zusätzlich wird sich im Luft- und Seeverkehr eine Nachfrage entwickeln, denn diesen Bereichen wird die Dekarbonisierung nur gelingen mit klimaneutralen Treibstoffen, für die Wasserstoff eine Basis ist. Kurzum, Wasserstoff ergänzt quer über alle Verkehrsträger hinweg andere alternative Antriebsformen sinnvoll und klimafreundlich. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, Deutschland übernimmt im 2. Halbjahr die EU-Ratspräsidentschaft. Wir planen ergänzend zum Green Deal der EU einen New Mobility Approach vorzulegen. Dieser wird zur Dekarbonisierung des Verkehrs auch einen Schwerpunkt auf das Thema Wasserstoff- und Brennstoffzellentechnologie legen. Wichtig ist mir dabei besonders die grenzüberschreitende Ansatz, den grenzüberschreitenden Aufbau von Wasserstoffinfrastruktur, vor allem zum Tanken. Im Einklang mit der entsprechenden EU-Richtlinie, aber es wird auch darum gehen, eine europäische Brennstoffzellen-Stack-Produktion voranzutreiben. Ich könnte mir eine sehr, sehr wichtige Rolle vorstellen für alle europäischen und internationalen Gremien. Sie sehen, die Politik in Deutschland hat die Bedeutung des Thema Wasserstoff verstanden und den Rahmen gesetzt. National wollen wir pushen, international und europäisch umstellen, die Hersteller überzeugen, die Industrie überzeugen. Wenn ich mir zum Beispiel den Lkw- und Busbereich ansehe, dann sage ich, es muss da mehr passieren. Wir brauchen hier deutlich mehr Produkte, damit ein funktionierender Markt entsteht. Die Innovationen müssen raus aus den Forschungslaboren, rein ins reale Leben. Deshalb verfolgen wir mit unserer Förderung seit den vergangenen Jahren auch einen regionalen Ansatz. Mit den Highland-Projekten bringen wir den Einsatz von Wasserstoff in mehreren Regionen in Deutschland voran. Flächendeckend. Die Erfahrung zeigt, genau das schafft die nötige Akzeptanz für die Technologien. Das Image für Wasserstoff bei den Bürgerinnen und Bürgern ist äußerst gut, auch zum Thema Energieträger. Lassen Sie uns gemeinsam daran arbeiten, dass Wasserstoff eine globale Erfolgsstory wird. Herzlichen Dank und viel Erfolg.
Many thanks to the German government. I mean, we understood that it's quite ambitious, but we heard also a little bit of critiques with regards to the OEMs, because he said, get it done and produce like other geographies are doing already. We come back to this later when we discuss the Asian automotive production. However, let's turn now to IEA, the International Energy Agency, that has come up with reports recently how COVID-19 has impacted the energy system. And it has detected a dramatic drop of demand, especially in coal, oil, and gas. But it has seen some more demand in renewables. The authors of all these studies are sitting in Paris, and we have been informed that Dr. Fatih Birol, the executive director, is really caught in a board meeting, hopefully discussing hydrogen on a global scale. And that is why his deputy as executive director, Dave Turk, will talk to us, replacing him. And Dave, you're welcome and you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. And let me apologize for Dr. Fatih Birol, our executive director, not being able to be personally or virtually personally with you all today. It's not only a board meeting for us, it's our governing board meeting. And we are a member-driven organization, and we work for our members, including many of them represented in this very important meeting as well. So Fatih sends his regrets that he's not able to be with you all in person. So thank you for your patience on that. Madam Commissioner, Kadri Simson, Minister Scheuer, Minister Aziz, Rabbah, Assistant Secretary Daniel Simson, Simmons, dear colleagues. It's a great pleasure to see so many distinguished colleagues here today and to have looked through the agenda to see how many distinguished colleagues and experts will be speaking through the course of the event. And it's great for the IEA to have been invited to participate. And it's even more terrific to see how much our analysis and how much our report from last year's G20 is being used around the world and being referred to. So we very much appreciate the partnership, and including with the International Partnership for Hydrogen and Fuel Cells, IPHE. We really very much recognize IPHE's terrific work for many years, and very much enjoy the partnership with IPHE and many others as well. This meeting certainly takes place in unprecedented times. I think it's unprecedented the amount of times we're all using the word unprecedented, but it really is, and certainly in energy circles, and that's what all our numbers are showing since the outbreak of COVID. COVID-19, of course, has not only brought about severe health challenges to all countries around the world, but it's also had major repercussions as far as energy goes and CO2 emissions. We're expecting energy demand to decrease 6% in 2020. That is a huge, unprecedented decrease. We're expecting CO2 emissions in 2020 to be 8% lower this year than last year. That is unprecedented. In fact, that's twice as large as the combined total emission reductions of all previous reductions with previous recessions since the end of World War II, just to give you a sense of the magnitude of what that 8% reduction in CO2 emissions means. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is not good news. This is coming for the wrong reason. This is coming because of the global economy put on a standstill. What we need for these emissions to be going down is for the right reasons. We need them to be going down because of good policy, technology progress, leadership from countries, certainly, and companies represented in this meeting. And hydrogen, ladies and gentlemen, can be a key way to reduce global CO2 emissions, as certainly our analysis has shown. others' analysis as well. So that's why it's so pleasing for the IEA to be here today to discuss hydrogen's role and why it deserves not only continued but enhanced support from government and industry attention as we get ourselves out of this COVID crisis. Now, hydrogen was before the COVID crisis, and been very pleasing to see how high it remains on the agenda of many governments from around the world, developing or having developed already their own hydrogen strategies, from Japan to Europe, from Europe to North America. And there are three simple reasons why countries from a diverse set of circumstances, companies from a diverse set of circumstances, are looking at hydrogen. Let me just run through those three reasons. First, hydrogen is versatile. Hydrogen can produce from a variety of energy sources, from fossil fuels, with or without CCUS, from renewables, from nuclear, a variety of sources. So first, the versatility of hydrogen. Secondly, hydrogen can also be used in a wide range of different applications, used in transport with fuel cells, used in a range of industrial applications like steel manufacturing and for heating our homes. And then third, hydrogen at least has the potential to be a clean fuel that does not emit any CO2 nor air pollutants, all depending, of course, on how hydrogen is produced. Now, of course, electricity is potentially a clean fuel as well, and solar and wind power are growing, and the costs of solar and wind directly producing electricity have decreased substantially, dramatically over the last several years. But keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that electricity is only 1/5 of our energy use right now. And you can't use electricity currently for all the kinds of applications that we need energy for. We can't use it currently to decarbonize everything. And this is really where hydrogen fits in. This is why so many countries, so many companies around the world are focused at hydrogen for its versatility. It enables us to reduce emissions even in hard to abate sectors, such as in iron and steel, trucks, shipping, other areas where, at least under current technology, current price points, electricity is a difficult application. But the use of hydrogen does present some challenges that we need to overcome. Right now, hydrogen is used quite a bit today. It's actually used a lot, but it's limited in a few areas. It's limited to oil refining, chemical production in particular. Governments need to develop strategies and concrete policies to help hydrogen find its way to more applications, such as in transport, buildings, other industry sectors. And hydrogen production needs to be cleaned. We need to take advantage of hydrogen's potential as a clean energy source. One way to use hydrogen in this way is to produce it through electrolysis, to produce it using renewables. Right now, though, electrolyzers are expensive. Around 40% of the cost of renewable hydrogen are from the electrolyzers themselves. The rest is from renewable electricity. Now, bringing those costs down to critical technologies such as electrolyzers is a key challenge. But the good news is we have an unprecedented, again, the use of unprecedented, amount of funding in economic stimulus programs, economic recovery programs for around the world. Some of that could be used to drive those costs down on electrolysis. And packages are being prepared right now from governments around the world trying to take advantage of this opportunity. Now is the time to advance technologies that are critical for a cleaner and more resilient energy sector, such as hydrogen. This is the way to bring down costs. It's also a way to ensure that each country's industry comes out of this crisis stronger than it was going into the crisis, ready to supply future growth markets. Hydrogen, in fact, is today where solar and wind energy were a decade ago, technologies that are up and coming, but that require government support to experience the success, to reduce those costs, to experience the success that solar and wind had a decade ago. Governments therefore need to ensure a strong place for hydrogen in stimulus programs that does not only help safeguard this hydrogen moment, but actually helps to increase that momentum even further. It was therefore we were very pleased to see Norway and Germany most recently join the countries that have developed national hydrogen strategies. This is excellent news and certainly in line with the requirements and with the recommendations that we called for with our G20 report last year. And let me take this opportunity again to thank Japanese leadership, not only for the G20, but for efforts on hydrogen for many, many years. Earlier today, the IEA released what I think will be the most impactful report that we put out this year. It's a WEO special report on the design of these stimulus packages, on design of economic recovery programs. The IEA will also release another incredibly impactful report, our ETP special report on clean energy 2 weeks from now. These reports will help governments. Again, we're not telling governments what they should do. We're offering up options for what governments can do if they want to most affordably, most successfully achieve their energy and climate goals. But this is a critical time to make those sound decisions, to make those decisions based on rigorous analysis, to make those decisions that can really help not only promote jobs, not only promote economic stimulus and economic recovery, but also build towards the energy systems that we need to have, that we want to have, that governments have laid down the markers for into the future. So our sustainability targets, our decarbonization targets can be reached. Ladies and gentlemen, these are unprecedented times. There is no doubt about that. And international collaboration is even more vital than ever. I'm therefore very glad that IPHE hosts this meeting today to discuss the role of hydrogen after COVID-19. And very pleased for the IEA to not only be part of this meeting, but to be working with IPHE and others on hydrogen going forward. The IEA will host a Clean Energy Transition Summit on the 9th of July, where we're bringing together a grand coalition of ministers, CEOs, other major investors, key leaders from around the energy world. We've now got over 40 ministers confirmed to attend that summit on the 9th of July. Those ministers representing 80% of global GDP. And I'm certain that hydrogen will be very high on that agenda for that meeting. It was on our agenda for the discussion we just had in our governing board. In fact, there's not a meeting that I go to these days that doesn't seem to have hydrogen come onto the agenda, even if it's not on the agenda, given the momentum that we're seeing. So I wish you an excellent discussion. Again, apologies for Dr. Fatih Birol, our executive director, still stuck in our governing board meeting, not being able to be with you personally. But please, again, accept our sincere wishes for further partnership and doing what we can from the IEA to help bring light to the hydrogen opportunity, the hydrogen moment that we're seeing in front of us today. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Dave Turk from the IEA, and you replaced Fatih extremely well. So thanks also for the information that you passed on. Good luck for your ministerial meeting, and happy to hear that hydrogen is high on the agenda. It definitely is in the country of our next speaker, and we are very honored to have Minister Aziz Rabbah with us. He was already extremely actively involved in initiative that Hydrogen Europe did together with the European Commission on the 2x 40 gigawatt plan that we have, 40 gigawatt upscale until 2030 in Europe, and another 40 gigawatt in the North African region. And Morocco is definitely one of the leading countries already active in that field, already producing hydrogen also, especially for ammonia for the fertilizer industry. Mr. Minister Rabbah, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this invitation, and you allow me to attend this this great forum to express my point of view about hydrogen situation, and allow me to say before that you summarize the Moroccan, what I can say, strategy. Briefly, before giving some details, we want to develop hydrogen for our market, but also we want to be a partner for all the international organization and for other countries. I believe that the hydrogen market will will impact the international economy in the future, and we are seeing big demand in near future and medium term. So we prepare ourselves for our market, of course, first, but also we are preparing ourselves to be one of the actor, why not one of the major actor in the hydrogen sector. Of course, as you said, that hydrogen is a chance for us and for our planet. I think it will play a decisive role by contributing to the reduction of greenhouse effect. It will play a systemic role in the decarbonization of whole economy. Today, hydrogen is used mostly exclusively for industrial use in chemistry and in mining. Tomorrow, its potential for energy vector could play major role in transport, gas, electricity, and heat production. In Morocco, I believe that we offer significant advantage for hydrogen with an abundant and cost-effective renewable resource, great experience in big renewable project, geographic proximity to potential market, business climate, good business climate. We are well ranked. We are well connected. We are well connected with all the continent and all the major actor in the economy, international economy, but also well connected with the major actor in the energy sector. The hydrogen will enable our country, Morocco, in the medium term to decarbonize the industrial sector. There is big challenge for us. We want to, you know that our industry is booming, but we want to be more competitive. We want to be more sustainable, and we want to face the carbon tax challenge. So I think that hydrogen with other clean energy will play good role to decarbonize the industrial sector, in particular the phosphate fertilizer industry, by avoiding the import of 2 million tons of ammonia in long term, but also to have the possibility to export to at international level. The use of green hydrogen could also benefit our agro-food sector, cement and metallurgy industry, and also the creation of new jobs. The use of green hydrogen will cost, when cost will be relevant in the medium and long term, will allow us to decarbonize our economy, agriculture, transport, and industry. That's why recently we released a preliminary study about hydrogen, and we try to create some partnership with many countries, starting by European countries, but also we are negotiating with other countries like other countries in America, in North America, but also in Asia, to seize the opportunities given by this dynamic situation of hydrogen sector. And that's why we are preparing our roadmap 2030, and we are seeing beyond 2030 to go to 2040. And let me, unfortunately, I can make a show presentation, but we make a study about our potential, and we are seeing there is a lot of potential for local market, domestic market, but also for the energy sector, but also for the exportation. So next time I will have the opportunity to show you the final document containing the details about our roadmap. And the three pillar, as you say here, we want to be part of this technology evolution in the world. We want to develop more R&D of hydrogen, but also of all clean energy. We want to develop market, national and international market, but of course based on trust relation between government and private sector at national level and international level. And of course we are seeing how we can develop the logistic for this the hydrogen sector, because we need a lot of investment to develop more logistic solution for hydrogen, as we are doing now for gas. We are developing the gas sector, but we are seeing how we can have good logistic for natural gas for our market, but also for the international market. Of course, recently, a few days, I think, or 1 week ago, we signed a good memorandum with German government to develop hydrogen, both for R&D, but also for production of hydrogen. And we are seeing a lot of opportunity with Germany. We are seeing a lot of opportunity in European country. And we are trying now to evolve. We are trying now to rebuild our business climate to be more attractive for joint venture between Moroccan companies and European companies. Allow me at the end to say that we are ready for any cooperation. Morocco is open for any cooperation, any partnership. You know that we are doing well in the green field, in renewable energy, green industry, green agriculture, green tourism. We are the best hub and platform to connect other continents with Africa. You know that we are present in African countries, and we are trying now to develop more opportunities with African countries based on win-win solution, based on joint investment, based on common project. So as I said, we are open to cooperate with your institution, with organization, with IU, with IRENA, and we are open also to create the best business climate to attract more investment on renewable energy and hydrogen. Thank you very much.
Shukran. Thanks very much, Minister Rabbah. It's impressive to see how your country develops to become, and I really mean what I say, a giant in the hydrogen world, so in the upscale of production. And I think your example shows that we need some first movers, and your country is a first mover. I see you very engaged. We had a conference today where the German ministry was involved, and they themselves talked about that project, that joint project that you have, and they were enthusiastic about it. So well done, I have to say, and congratulations and good continuation. And maybe you might be a good member for the IPHE. I say this as Hydrogen Europe, so I don't get any fee for saying that. However, I think you would fit well into this conference, into this network of countries.
We're ready for that. You accept my membership if you want.
I will pass it on. Sunita, the president and the future president, which we'll talk in the end, will take this on board. Thanks very much. We now turn to a country that has already been mentioned. We turn to Yasuhiro Matsuyama from the Director General from the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry in Japan. And I really have to say, we appreciate very much, Matsuyama-san, what you did last year, because with the G20 summit, that was the starting point of this global talk about hydrogen. This was initiated by you, by your government, and the IEA, Mr. Turk already alluded to it, played a role. So you asked for that study, but you initiated something which now leads to a new situation. We have to say thank you, and we are looking forward to your contribution. Matsuyama-san.
Oh, thank you, Hugo. I did use this presidential slide at the first, so I turn to my screen, not using this slide for a moment. No. Okay, in any case, thank you very much, Hugo. I'm glad to attend this global forum to discuss on the very important topic of hydrogen. Thank you. After the second hydrogen energy ministry last September in Tokyo, just Hugo mentioned, the move is getting very real with here. Many countries, including Australia, Netherlands, Germany, have established their national strategy on hydrogen. It's a very surprising and it's a very good move. And the EU is also accelerating its process. And Morocco's news is your own strategy is a very good move for the world. We believe this global big trend should be celebrated by all of us. And I'm convinced this global challenge to the hydrogen society has become very solid, we believe. And we have moved into the next phase of building up the credible and steady step with much more global cooperation. And in any case, Under the global COVID-19 crisis this year, Japan also strongly supports the approach of green recovery. In other words, especially the creation of hydrogen society inevitably needs a vast volume of investment and technological development globally, which means the global challenge on hydrogen would create a virtuous cycle of social and economic innovation for the decarbonized world for the future. Now is the time in order to create one global hydrogen market. And today, I'd like to comment on three major topics in our mind to discuss: mobility, global supply chain, and hydrogen hub. And I finally come to the first slide of mobility. First, as we discussed on economic stimulus package in every country is now doing, one of the area we focused on is this mobility area. We should celebrate many countries adopt the promotion policies for clean vehicles, including FCVs. We believe when major countries, US, Europe, Japan, Korea, and China have launched the long-term FC mobility plan, we should step forward to form the global platform for the future. For example, I just pointed out the priority agenda in the bottom. Hydrogen refueling protocol for commercial FCBs, in other words, heavy-duty trucks, much more currently focusing on business, should be the priority, we believe. And harmonization of safety standard on FCB and stations, and information sharing mechanism to get over the difficulty in creating new regulation architecture is another. And sharing the best practices on business in hydrogen station is also the very big key to manage the business during the takeoff stage. These topics should be intensively discussed among advanced country and private sectors, and Japan is willing to contribute to this help. And second area is global supply chain. I'm glad to report to you that the liquefied hydrogen transport project with Australia, supported by Dr. Finkel, the next speaker of me, has reached the final phase, and the first cargo will be shipped early next year. Another project with Brunei has already succeeded in maritime hydrogen transport in the form of Major Hexam last December, and the hydrogen produced in Brunei has already used as a fuel gas for power generation in Kawasaki. This global supply chain could give us a massive impact on global energy scene, we believe. It will transform local hydrogen into globally tradable goods. It is amazing. Japanese government and private sectors are prepared and willing to explore this field for the potential exporters and importers to provide the technology and know-how to them. We welcome the similar initiatives by European countries and like to start a platform to share the maritime transport technology and other experiences jointly with the like-minded countries and companies all over the world. Finally, the comment on hydrogen of the main three topics. As proposed in the IEA hydrogen report published last year at the margin of G20, it was a remarkable report, we believe. At the top of the agenda, forming a local hydrogen hub is a very key point. Coordinating demand and supply with a proper network is the key to realize hydrogen society in our real life. Like Los Angeles Port and Rotterdam, or other European city projects. In Japan, Nagoya area, with Toyota and other energy companies, has launched their project. And other county cities like Kobe, Kawasaki, and Fukushima are emerging. We expect the leading projects in US, Europe would give us a good lesson to follow. And these hydrogen hub projects should be prevailed globally.
It doesn't take.
Okay. These three of many things, we are now is in the stage of go together. every country, every company now starts thinking seriously about hydrogen. But we need one market, one global hydrogen market, in order to expand our market and make the cost down. This year also, we are planning to hold the third Hydrogen Energy Ministerial this coming fall. The timing and format is under examination, but reflecting the discussion today, I assure we will provide a good occasion to unite and deepen the global actions toward hydrogen society. Minister Kajiyama and our staff would like all of you to join the meeting. Thank you very much.
It's impressive what is happening in Japan, and you are driving the hydrogen economy as promised, and you are continuing it. We are looking forward to the Olympic Games a year later, then with hydrogen as a topic also there. Let us now turn to Australia, the last geography that we deal with today. And the speaker will be Alan Finkel, who is the chief scientist of the Australian government. He has turned the ideas about hydrogen within 6 months round, and he has put hydrogen high on the Australian agenda. Let's listen to Alan now.
Greetings, and my best wishes to all of you participating in the 33rd IPHE Steering Committee meeting. In the midst of these extraordinary times, filled with challenges that invite pessimism, I'm delighted to see the spirit of optimism and determination that brings us all here today. Indeed, whether it's pandemic disease or the growing danger of climate change, we have been vividly reminded that we are all in this together. As Australia's Chief Scientist and as the Australian Government's official hydrogen advisor, I reaffirm Australia's determination to do our part to protect our planet while unleashing the power of clean hydrogen to serve as an engine of economic growth and development. We have the available land and resources in Australia to potentially produce over 400 million tonnes of hydrogen per year from renewable processes alone, to meet more than half of the world's estimated hydrogen demand. And with the Australian Hydrogen Strategy adopted by governments last year, we have sent a signal to the world that our nation has both the resolve and the expertise to take on this challenge. Among many agreed actions in the strategy, one that I view as critically important to the effective growth of a global hydrogen supply and trading system is a Certificate of Origin scheme. Now, as I see it, this would not be based on the green, blue and brown and other colours favoured by graphic designers, but instead would be underpinned by the simple arithmetic favoured by mathematicians. Under the scheme, every kilogram of hydrogen would carry a token that catalogues the carbon dioxide emissions associated with its production. Every purchasing country and consumer would therefore be able to make its own determination on what is acceptably clean, allowing efficient blending of disparate sources of hydrogen to meet an acceptability threshold. To implement the Australian Hydrogen Strategy and bolster global momentum for hydrogen, each of Australia's state governments is undertaking hydrogen development, and the national government has earmarked over $500 million towards hydrogen projects. As a first step, we are building our domestic production capability to service new and existing uses of hydrogen. In Western Australia, for example, we are developing one of the most exciting energy projects in the world, the Asian Renewable Energy Hub, a combined solar and wind farm that will produce clean ammonia primarily for export. Separately, on the domestic demand side, we're ramping up our hydrogen blending demonstration projects and taking our first tentative steps towards supporting fuel cell electric vehicles. Australia has shown its commitment. We will do what we say, but we cannot do it alone. As I look around the world, I see enormous enthusiasm for hydrogen. But I am not seeing the international market growth in demand needed to translate hydrogen's potential into tomorrow's thriving global industry. With the help of clean hydrogen, we can solve the biggest challenge of our time, while laying the groundwork for long-term economic security and prosperity. But only if we move forward with the spirit of unity and optimism shown here today, building on the vision and determination that the IPHE has exhibited since its inception, working together in common purpose to protect our common home. May the force be with you. Thank you.